Good evening. Good evening, future Boilermakers. My name is Toni Munguia. I'm the Director of Recruitment, Retention, and Diversity here in the Purdue Polytechnic. I want to welcome all of you to our broadcast, especially for Women in Technology. Our college is a little over 22% females, and we're always trying to provide more opportunities and resources for our women in technology. So tonight, let's discuss resources, organizations, and success strategies that we hope will be valuable to our female students. Three current students and an alumna are here with me tonight to be able to be our panelists, and I will ask them to introduce themselves in a minute. And we would be glad to answer your questions this hour, and you can submit them through the chat function on YouTube. Just log on with your Google account or create one to submit questions. Our technical director, John O'Malley, will be monitoring the chat and will try to pass along your questions to us as well. If we don't get to your question tonight, please feel free to send a follow-up email to techrecruit@purdue.edu, and we will respond later on. And I'll repeat that later on as we get towards the end of the broadcast as well. So right now, it's time to ask our panelists to introduce themselves, to tell us their major, their year in school, and where they're from. So hi there, Dannalee. Let's start with you.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Dannalee Mata. I'm from Chicago, and I'm a junior studying audio engineering technology. So that's within the electrical engineering technology program.
Okay. Thank you, Dannalee. Adhvitha, let's go with you next.
So hi everyone, my name's Adhvitha. I am a freshman from Seattle, Washington, and I'm double majoring in cybersecurity and network engineering in the CNIT department, so computer networks and information technology.
Thank you, Adhvitha. And good evening, Coco.
Hi, I'm Coco. I'm a sophomore in UX design from Warsaw, Indiana.
Thank you. And last but not least, we are especially happy to have Amanda Fendel with us this evening. She is a 2017 graduate from organizational leadership major. And Amanda, would you please introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, thanks, Toni. So as Toni said, my name is Amanda Fendel, and I graduated in 2017 in the organizational leadership program. And I'm currently living in Charlotte, North Carolina, working for a plastic pipe manufacturing company.
Thank you. So let's get started. Dannalee, we're going to start with you first. Why did you choose Purdue and your specific major?
Yeah, so my major is audio engineering technology. I had fallen in love with both music and electronics and kind of wanted a program that could combine them, but would be mostly focused on creating technology so that other people could also experience music and sort of have that passion for it that I did. So the big reason why I picked Purdue was because I felt like it had the technical approach I was looking for. In my case, I actually got really lucky. I sent an email to one of the professors in the Polytechnic thinking he wouldn't answer any of my questions about the major. And not only did he respond, but Professor Jacob actually invited me to come to Purdue and talk to me about the program. So I did that and just kind of fell in love with the technical approach that the school had. So for me, it was the electronics foundation that really drew me over.
Thank you. And Vita, how about you? Why did you choose Purdue in your majors?
So yeah, in my high school, I had a strong background within my networking field, and the part that really got me here is the specific majors that Purdue offers. So it wasn't only cybersecurity, which was the main factor, but they also offered the second degree and major in network engineering. So the combination of both of those allowed me to explore two fundamental factors, which is important in the field of IT. And really what drew me to Purdue was their hands-on approach and project-based curriculum, because we have labs and lectures for every class, and their strong connection with the careers and technology really helped solidify my reasons to coming here.
Thank you. Coco, it's your turn.
Yeah, so when you first look up UX, you see that it's a combination of psychology, graphic design, and computer science. And I loved all three. So I applied to Purdue and only Purdue for UX design. Everywhere else, I applied to computer science, but I found that UX was a perfect combination of all my passions, and it being, let me keep practicing, being creative and all that stuff. So.
Great, thank you. Amanda, you graduated from Purdue in 2017, but I'd like to ask you to think back to your days in high school. How did the interests you had then lead you to choose Purdue and to study organizational leadership?
Yeah, so I actually found out I visited Purdue for the first time with the Discovering Opportunities in Technology event that they have for high school juniors. And I just fell in love with the campus and with the Polytechnic. I partially owe that to Toni for how good of an environment she creates for women within the Polytechnic. But I just knew that that's where I wanted to be. And I chose computer graphics at that time, actually, because I wanted to do work with my creative side and wanting to go into graphic design work. Through exploring different classes within the Polytechnic, though, I ended up in organizational leadership just because I liked the interactions with people that it gave me and learning about the different leadership styles and the different business pursuits. So even though my major changed within the Polytechnic, it still felt like home and led me to stay in the college when I went to switch my major.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, Adhvitha, the next question is going to be for you. What surprised you about the transition from high school to college life, and what kind of adjustments did you have to make when you were, since you are a first-year student? So let's start with Adhvitha.
So yeah, coming from high school to college, I think the main thing for me has definitely been just being far away from home. So responsibility lies a lot on me. So there's a lot of more freedom and responsibility that comes with coming to college. So that was like one of the biggest transitions because it wasn't only in schoolwork. I wouldn't have someone reminding me. It was also in terms of just living and just working on time management. I really think that has improved for me a lot because there's a lot I have to think about with coming to school, working on all of your classes, doing laundry, spending time with friends, and also just connecting with people back home. So I think that's one of the major things I've improved on ever since coming to college after high school.
Oh, that's pretty cool. All right, Coco, same question for you. What has surprised you about the transition from high school to college life?
I would definitely say how much freedom you get. You're away from your parents and you get to do whatever you want, basically. But with that, you really have to learn how to manage your time well. Academics are very important, but you still want to stay social and make friends and hang out with them.
Okay, cool. Okay, Dannalee, here's a question for you. What helped you to get acclimated to Purdue and the Polytechnic, especially as a young woman?
Yeah, so for me, one thing that was a little bit scary coming to Purdue was I had come from a high school that was really, really diverse and also very gender balanced. So when I came to Purdue, I was worried about the fact that it was this huge, huge campus. So definitely getting involved with the Women's Technology Organization and also getting involved with the cultural centers is what helped me to sort of shrink down the size of Purdue and make it feel like more manageable in terms of like acclimating to the environment. So I feel like that's a common worry that I see a lot of freshmen have is like, wow, there's like so many students here, but there's so many organizations that you can be part of that will kind of help it shrink down and become more of a community feel.
Oh, great. That's so good to hear. Amanda, let's try a question for you. Thinking back to your days as an undergraduate student, what helped you to get acclimated to Purdue and the Polytechnic?
Yeah, I would kind of echo the same things as just joining organizations and any opportunity you have to meet new people or go to an event, just say yes because you never know what you're going to like and what's really going to stick. I joined a few different organizations my freshman year, some that followed me through all 4 years and some that didn't. The Women in Technology organization was one of them where I met other people in my classes and other similar technology majors just to kind of hear more about their experiences. And then I was also involved in some larger organizations as well, like Purdue University Dance Marathon and some other organizations that did like charity and volunteering as well. And all those different experiences just helped me kind of find my niche and what I wanted to grow with during my time at Purdue.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to let those in the audience and say, if you have a question for any of these ladies in right now, please put them on the chat. We'd love to hear from you. But I'm going to continue asking some questions. But if you have something that you really want specific to you, please ask. Okay. So let's go with Adhvitha, since you were in my class this semester. Would you please share your experience with the Women in Technology Learning Community, the Tech 101 class? And now this is a class that I teach, so I recommend it highly. And I will let Coco and even probably Amanda, I don't remember if Amanda took it or not, and Dannalee take it, but I want you to hear kind of their point of view for it, because I'm going to recommend it, and you'll see that I'll recommend it over and over again throughout the broadcast. So Adhvitha, you go first.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend taking Tech 101, so Women in Technology. I'm actually not part of the Women in Technology learning community, but learning that there was a class for me to join made me be part of it. So I took that last semester in fall, and it was just a great opportunity because I didn't know all of these women were in my position in the Polytechnic, in the CNIT department. I got to learn a lot about other people's majors and how they correlate, and it also allowed me to make new friends and connections through that. I think my favorite part of Tech 101 was definitely like the career connection. So Ms. Toni would bring a lot of speakers by, and one of the presentations that really stuck by me was I forget their name, but they were majoring in organizational leadership, and they presented about their journey in their career pathway, and it was really inspiring. I learned a lot from all of the speakers, but that one speaker kind of inspired me to minor in organizational leadership today, and it's just a really great opportunity to learn about different careers, learn about how you can grow in your pathway, and as well as just meeting people in the Polytechnic.
Okay. Coco, you want to go next? Because I think you took it last year, right?
Yeah, so I took it last year, and then I was also a part of the learning community. Highly recommend both. The Tech 101 class is very fun, and you get to meet a lot of other women in your fields, but also make new connections with the presenters that Toni will bring in. They are alumni, so it's very fun to see like the paths they take and how they grow. But with the learning community, it's very nice to just live in with other women in your field. You can go next door and just be like, hey, are you working on like this assignment for a class that you share together? But actually, Dannalee was my RA. So props to her. She was great. And yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Coco. And Dannalee is the RA for the learning community. So I'm going to let Dannalee speak because she was in the class as well when she was a freshman.
Yeah, so when I was a freshman, I took Miss Toni's class, and I think the best way to describe it is like a breath of fresh air, because you're taking like maybe an intense class or something, or a class in which you maybe are in only a group of like maybe 10 girls, and compared to all of the different men in the field, and you come to this class, and it's a whole bunch of women excited about the same things you're excited about, and it's just like such a great community feel. I would say definitely the same about the learning community. So basically what a learning community is you apply to live in a floor in a dorm with a bunch of girls who have similar majors to you. So for example, my freshman year, I lived right next door to a girl who was in mechanical engineering technology. We would study together for our calc assignments, we would study together for our physics assignments, and then we would do like fun stuff. We would go to dinner, we would watch movies, we would play video games. So I think it's a really great way if you're worried about a big campus to make a big campus a lot more comfortable and small.
Thank you, Dannalee. And Amanda, I don't know if you remember, well, you were part of my class as well, weren't you?
I was actually your TA for 2 of my 4 years at Purdue.
Right,
Yeah.
that's right.
And I didn't actually take the class, but I ended up as the teaching assistant for it anyway through my association to the Women in Technology program or the organization.
That's
But
what it
I
was.
always love listening to the speakers and the different activities that we would do with all the women in class to get you thinking about different things and how being a woman minority in some of these larger male dominated fields can feel, and to be able to share that with each other. And it definitely makes it feel not as harrowing when you go into the workplace where you already have this kind of set up as like, I can do this and I know other women are in the same boat as me. And I think being in manufacturing now, I think the class and the Women in Technology organization in general definitely helped make me feel more comfortable in that area, because I know how that can feel from other students' experiences and how I can better myself in those environments.
Thank you, Amanda. Well, we do have a question from the audience. Lisa has asked, have any of you had any difficulty finding internships or co-op opportunities within your fields? And okay, I know you're a freshman at Adhvitha, so you really can't answer that. Maybe Dannalee and Amanda, you can answer that question?
Yeah, sure. Amanda, you want to go first, or?
I can go first. Yeah. So when I was a computer graphics major, when I first started, I actually was able to get an internship after my freshman year because of the connections that the computer graphics department set up with a local business. And so they hired a bunch of us for a company called School Datebooks to actually work in their graphics side. So I was actually able to get one pretty easily because of those opportunities with that Purdue sets up already for it. And then between my junior and senior year, I actually got the opportunity to work for General Motors. So the organizational leadership department had a few GM employees and Purdue alumni come and speak to the current majors and be on the floor to give resumes. So I actually got an internship that way as well. So plenty of opportunities, and the organizations and different majors are always trying to find companies to come in and help students with it as well. So I don't think there's a lot out there. So there's always opportunities for it.
Thank you, Amanda. Dannalee, do you want to say some things?
Yeah, so last summer I had an internship at Aptiv, which is like an autonomous driving company. So I was doing more like electronics work for them and like failure analysis work for them as well. And I think what really helped me stand out was the fact that I had a lot of lab experience starting from freshman year. So getting comfortable with using different sort of measuring equipment, testing equipment, soldering equipment right away freshman year made me stand out in the application, because then you sort of have more experience compared to other people who are applying in the same year as you that might be going to universities with different programs. Next summer, I have an internship. Well, I guess in a couple months this summer, I have an internship as well, and I'll be doing electrical design for different audio electronics. So I would say you definitely have an advantage, considering the Polytechnic likes to start people off in their major right away. You do get a little more experience that way.
And I spoke too soon. Adhvitha is a freshman, so I thought, she doesn't have any experience, but she does have an internship already lined up. So I'm going to let her share how she got her internship. And Coco, if you want to talk, you can as well. So I'll let both of you share if you want.
So yeah, the main reason I really love Purdue is their career connections, and genuinely that's what has helped me get an internship this summer. So they've had so many career fairs that I can't even tell how many I've been to. But the coolest part is they had one particularly for cybersecurity. So I never thought there would be a career fair for one major, but that really helped out in terms of getting the interviews and getting my this summer interning. So this summer I'm interning at John Deere as a cybersecurity intern. And I think really what I would recommend to freshmen, like upcoming freshmen, is to not be afraid that you may not get an internship, because really you don't know. And even if it doesn't happen, the connections that you make in the career fair will help you in the future years. You will learn so much through going to the career fair. You'll gain networking experience, you'll gain connections, and most of all, you'll also just learn how to, you'll develop your elevator speech. You'll learn how to learn about other careers and different potential roles for your major. So that's one of the big things I recommend.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I am still looking for an internship this summer. Currently in the interviewing stages, but just to add on what you were saying before, it is a really great opportunity to get real work experience and everything like that. But Purdue has a lot of opportunities to find internships. They're very helpful. All the career fairs. We have a CGT department career fair coming up soon, I think, and it's just really great.
Thanks, Coco. So, can you talk about, let's talk about mentoring programs and what you were involved with, like Witty Sisters, or if you're involved with any other ones, and why you are part of them. Uh, Coco, I know you were a Witty Sisters, and now you were a mentee and a mentor, and then we'll let the others if they'd like to share as well.
Yeah, so I was a mentee last year when I was a freshman, and I am a mentee now. But it was really nice to just make new connections, and definitely, like, ask your witty sister about, like, class choices. That is, like, I found to be, like, the most helpful, but they're also just there for other advice, or, literally anything in life, too. It's really fun to just go out and grab coffee with them, catch up, talk about classes and stuff like that.
And let me just explain a little bit. The Witty Sisters program is the Witty Sisters is it's part of the Women in Technology student organization, but we pair up freshman students with upper class students that are in the same major or in the same department. Anyone else want to share their experiences with that?
Sure. Does it have to be specifically Witty Sisters or the other mentoring programs
No,
in
it
the
could be the other mentoring programs as well, because I know you're part of the Boiler Mentors. So yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, for example, for me, I'm a SOET or School of Engineering Technology ambassador. The reason why I wanted to do that was because I felt like Purdue was a really good choice for me, and I wanted to interact with prospective students and talk to them to see if it would be a good choice for them too. So it's really exciting seeing other people get excited and asking questions about applying to Purdue, or if they're already admitted, they come and do like tours of the labs, and I get to talk to them about potential projects they could work on, potential classes they could take. So for me, I felt like that was the perfect role to interact with students and let them know, like, hey, if you're interested in this, you should really give it a shot. It's something that I felt was a great fit for me and might be a great fit for you. The other thing is too, like we mentioned earlier, we have the learning community, which I'm the RA for the learning community. So that mentoring process, I know Coco was one of my former residents, as we talked about. That mentoring process is awesome because I get to see all these people transition from like first week freshman, maybe a little shy, to they end their second semester freshman year and they're so confident, they love what they do, and they have a solid friend group. So it's definitely rewarding.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to chime in too that the relationship that you build with your mentor or mentee can last. So one of my mentors, I think from my junior year, her and I, or mentees, her and I are still in touch. So we talk all the time, and we see each other when I'm in town. So even though we kind of went different paths, she's in supply chain and I'm in training, we still talk all the time and talk about our work, but also our personal life. So it's a friend for life just from the Witty Sisters program.
Thank you, Amanda, for that. Amanda, tell us, what was your first job after you graduated, and how did your Purdue degree help you, be well prepared for it in the first few years of your career, and then kind of what you decided to do in the what you've done the last couple of years?
Yeah, so the my first job I was at for 4 years, and I worked for a government software company as a training specialist, and then I also did work with testing before becoming a testing and training manager. So Purdue really prepared me for the leadership aspects of it. I was in a consultant role, so all the discussions around leadership and change management were all classes that my major focused on, but also I was able to apply it right into the career field just from those different discussions. With continuous improvement and process management classes, I was able to help improve the business processes as well. So all of those skills that I was like, maybe I don't know if I'll use this, was just immediately applied in my first job in the first year. So it really can just come back right away with all those different experiences. And then with the student organizations having real life experience putting on events and managing teams, I was able to apply as well to adjust my leadership style personally based on what I'd learned and what I'd experienced. So I was at that job for 4 years. And then after that, I actually went and studied at Maastricht University in the Netherlands, which I found when I was at Purdue through the Fulbright Scholarship Program. I didn't pursue it with the scholarship, but I found the school that way. And so I spent a year there pursuing my master's in learning and development, all because Purdue showed me that pathway. And so then currently working in a pipe manufacturing company and putting together business processes for them and building a training program from the ground up. And it all started with that base knowledge of people and processes and change from my time at Purdue.
Thanks, Amanda. Okay, Coco, I think we all want to be a good example for girls in grade school and then, for teenagers in high school. Based on your experience, why do you feel that Purdue is a good place to study technology and related fields as a young woman?
Yeah, so Purdue Polytechnic is very hands-on learning. I found that was how I learned best, and just the opportunities that you get from that, because you are getting, real-world experience, especially from like my experience studio, that you can put into your portfolios, and you already have a step up from, other candidates when you're applying to internships and jobs.
Thank you. Adhvitha, same question. Based on your experience, why do you feel that Purdue is a good place to study technology and related fields as a young woman?
I think, of course, the hands-on learning aspect, like Coco mentioned, was like a huge part of it, but it's also just the support that Purdue provides. There's so many clubs on campus and like the organizations as well, like Women in Technology, the resources and connections, like everyone supports each other. And it really has helped me as a freshman, like grow in the community and meet other people. And just through working with other people on the same projects and meeting other people outside in different majors, it's really helped me here at Purdue.
Thank you. Dannalee, same question for you.
Yeah,
Why is it a
so
good
I can
place?
kind of echo what everyone has said about Purdue being really hands-on, and I think the important part too is kind of what Adhvitha was touching on, where you can really tell when a program makes the effort to make people feel included. And you can also tell, on the other hand, when you're visiting other schools, maybe programs that don't have like the same level of support as Purdue Polytechnic does. So for me, when I, came and saw campus for the first time and I got to talk to people in the recruitment center, I got to go visit the Latino Cultural Center, I got to go talk to a professor, and then being here and seeing like these things helping my everyday life, helping me kind of get used to that transition my freshman year. I think it really solidified I made a good choice because I had support in all the different areas that I wanted.
Okay, thank you. Well, I have another question from the audience. It says, my first question is, and I think this is, my first question is, how are the dorms or the residence halls like? Because we didn't get to see the dorms when we had a tour. And then her second question is, how is the food at the residence halls and what types of food are offered? So there are several of you that are in the residence halls. Talk about the dorm life and why they should. I highly recommend the residence halls. I think at least the very first year is a good place to start, but I'm going to let them share their experiences. Adhvitha, why don't you go first since you're there right now?
So yeah, as you can tell, I'm in my door right now. So I am in a different learning community, so I'm part of the data mine learning community. So like in most learning communities, you'll live in the same dorm, like residence hall as other people, which is really nice in terms of community. And like there's different types of dorms. One, I'm trying to remember last year when I chose, since I did apply to the learning community, I did put preferences, but it didn't like it's kind of limited just because I would be in my dorm I am in right now. And I really like it because I like the suite style that it offers, but it's not only that, it's the fact that I can talk and communicate to the other people who are part of this learning community. And something that the residence hall offers are like lounge areas where you can collaborate with other people and study with other people throughout the process and like throughout the year. And they always have any resource that you would need. If you need anything, you could go down. And there's always, if you're in a residence hall, the benefit is that your friends are also most of the freshmen are on a residence hall, so they would be around you near campus, which is really, really nice. In terms of food, I think that Purdue offers a lot of like areas where you can eat. So they have, of course, the dining halls that you may have seen on campus, but they also have retail places. So if you are part of the Women in like Technology Learning community, you're in Meredith South, and Meredith South has like Panera and Qdoba, and there's also other retail places on campus. So I really like that Purdue offers different areas to eat because variety is important, especially in college, and eating is always something to do when in college.
Thank you. What residence hall are you in, Adhvitha?
Oh yeah, I'm in Hillenbrand Hall, so that's mainly for the data mine learning community.
Gotcha. Okay. Dannalee or Coco, because I know both of you are in Meredith Health. You want to share anything extra?
Sure, yeah. I would say there's definitely different dorms for different budgets. A lot of upperclassmen might pick like a single room with their own bathroom, but I would say definitely your freshman year, consider the dorms because it's a great way to just meet a whole bunch of people. And everyone kind of has that feeling that they also want to meet friends. So it's like this very unique situation your freshman year where you're surrounded by a bunch of people that are also trying to actively make friend groups and things like that. So definitely dorming your freshman year, great idea. Like Toni mentioned, we're in Meredith South. So there's Meredith North, and the new building is Meredith South that is specifically for women in STEM. So the whole building is divided. We have one floor that's for women in science. We've got 2 floors for women in engineering, a floor for women in technology, a floor for women in management. And so it's really great, even if you aren't in the Women in Technology learning community. For example, at Adhvitha's in Data Mine, we have a whole bunch of other learning communities, a nursing, a science community, etc. We have some based on volunteer opportunities, some based on specifically engineering technology. So no matter which learning community you choose, you'll be surrounded by other freshmen who are pursuing the same program and have similar interests. So I'd say it's a really great way to make friends right away.
Thank you. Do you want to add anything, or Coco?
I just don't know what to say. Yeah, just to echo Dannalee, it's a really great opportunity to meet new girls. It's very, very nice. The bathrooms and showers are, very new. And right below you have Panera and Qdoba. I would, go down there in between my 2 classes. And yeah.
Great, thank you. And let me just explain. If you are thinking about a learning community, the deadline is April 15th. So make sure that you put in your application in by April 15th. And they're talking about Qdoba and all of these other restaurants. My understanding is you can use swipes. Your Purdue, I think you, depending on which meal plan you get, you can use your Purdue swipes to buy your meals at Qdoba or at at Panera or Chick-fil-A or other places on campus as well. Did I say that's correct? Correct? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so we have another question from Kylie.
Real quick, Toni.
Oh,
Sorry,
yes.
I just wanted to add on to that.
Sure.
So some of my best friends now I actually lived with in my dorm that lived down the floor from me. So those friends that you make in your dorm will stay with you. So it's almost 10 years of friendship now for me and some of those friends. And while we can't believe that, it's just we met in Shreve Hall, which was the honors college dorm at the time from the honors college learning community I was in. And now 10 years later, still going strong in our friendship. One just re-reviewed my resume for me. So we're always talking and we'll be there pretty much for life, friends for life now, just from living in the dorm freshman year. So highly recommend it if you were swaying, maybe not doing it.
Thanks for sharing that, Amanda. I appreciate it for sure. We haven't talked much about the honors college. If you are in honors, any of you in honors, then you do have to live in the honors residence hall, but you can still be part of the WIT learning community as well if you choose. And you definitely can take the Tech 101 class that we talked about earlier. Okay, Kylie wants to know, Purdue offers so many cool technology related fields. How did you decide on your majors and minors? And did you end up changing your initial major or minor? Have any of you changed majors or added majors or minors since you've been here at Purdue? And I know, Amanda, you had changed your major, so any of you can talk about that. Who has added a major or a minor? I think Adhvitha, you mentioned that you added a minor. Anybody else? Anybody has changed their major? No, you guys are okay. But add-ons. Actually, Amanda, didn't you change your major?
I did. So when I started, I was a computer graphics major and computer graphics technology major, and I really liked the program. It just wasn't a great fit for me. Well, where I saw myself, my career going. But the skills I learned, I still actually use today because I still do some graphic stuff on the side, even though my major ended up being organizational leadership. But my first semester of my sophomore year, I was kind of unsure, and I took an organizational leadership class. And the professor, he said, if you ever have questions, like come talk to me, we'll talk it out and see if you need help with anything. So him and I just had a conversation about it, and I ended up first, I was a double major, computer graphics and organizational leadership, before I just completely switched to organizational leadership. But there's nothing wrong with switching your major or having a change of heart for where you want to go. This is the perfect time to learn and experience what is all there is to offer, so you kind of know what path you want to take. But even if you pick one major, it doesn't mean you're stuck in that career field for life. I remember after my freshman year, I was getting ice cream in Indianapolis and was wearing Purdue gear. And some guy walked up and was like, "Oh, yeah, I went to Purdue." He was like a chemical engineering major and then worked in banking like 20 years later. So you really never know where you're going to end up. But at least that base skills that any major at Purdue and in the Polytechnic gives you can apply to the rest of your career. So don't feel like, oh, this is it for life. Like, you can take and change your route at any point if you need to.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. I do have another question from my cell phone. And so a shout out to Mila. And she asks, how did you know you wanted to get into a tech field? You know, I mean, there's so many choices out there, the liberal arts, the medical field, there's so many different things. So how did you know you wanted to get into technology?
I can go ahead and start. So kind of also partly answering the last question still, I would definitely recommend, if there is a degree that you're interested in, look up their plan of study. That's what I did, and I found that like, oh, these classes are like really interesting. I started to kind of look, and you can click and actually get a class description. So when I was a senior in high school applying, I looked up the plan of study, saw the electronics classes I was going to be taking, and realized that's something I can see myself doing in college and as a career. So I'd recommend, if you're like tied between a couple of majors, of course you can add a minor or a major later on, but to kind of pick one, take a look at that plan of study. As for what drew me to STEM in general, I was always a person that was tinkering, if that makes any sense. So, you know, in school, I didn't really have like a strong physics or engineering program. My high school didn't have that opportunity for us to kind of go ahead and pursue, but like in my free time, I like taught myself how to solder, and I would start just tinkering, taking things apart, kind of trying to build my own things. And I realized it was something I really enjoyed. So I think a lot of people pursue majors based on like a hobby. If you find, wow, you know, for example, for computer science, you start to program, you start to code, and you think, oh, I can actually do CNIT, I can do cybersecurity. If you like video games, I have a coworker who loves video games, and she ended up majoring in video game design and like doing data analytics as well. So I think looking at your hobbies and seeing potential careers from that really works well.
Wonderful, thank you. How about you, Adhvitha?
So yeah, I think I definitely got into the field of technology more of like and more of the engineering side because I started in robotics. So it's still a passion of mine. I still do it at Purdue now, and it really started with like just building itself. And I just love the concept of robotics and where my time in like the field of IT started is coding the robot, and that has been a huge part of it. But then when I got to high school, I realized, yeah, I do like coding. I do enjoy working on this, but I realized it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do in the future. And what really solidified it is like my high school had a networking academy with Cisco, and that's where I gained a lot of my experience and certifications. And I realized, okay, this is really what I want to learn more about. How does data travel? How am I talking right now, like on a call with many people listening to it? That's where I really wanted to learn more about network engineering. And then what really got me into security is the fact that everything online has some sort of risk. There's a lot of crime online. So I really wanted to learn both aspects with security and how network engineering works.
Thank you. Coco, Amanda?
Um,
Coco,
yeah,
you go
well,
first.
for me, so I said that I was originally gonna major in computer science, but and I was always like interested in that, coding was very satisfying to me, especially, it was very rewarding when you finally get it right and stuff like that. But actually in my graphic design class in high school, we had a project where we had to use an Arduino and code some like LED lights, and that was very fun for me, and I found that very interesting. And actually now in Studio 3 for UX, we are using Arduinos and working more with those, which is very cool to see my progress from then to now.
It's cool. Cool. Okay. All right, Amanda, it's been more than 5 years since you graduated from Purdue. How does the time you spent as a Purdue student continue to pay off for you as a professional and a woman in technology?
I think I always go back to my classes and try to remember the basics, especially when I'm thinking about a harder problem or really I'm trying to solve a problem. I think back, what did I learn in my organizational leadership class where we talked about continuous improvement and process improvement? What was that baseline? And I kind of you keep going back to some of those basics that you know because you're continually building up on them. So it gives you a strong foundation that you can continue to grow and spring your career off of as you move through. And then again, like the friends I've made for life from my time at Purdue. So not only does it build up your career, it builds up your friendship and that life balance that you have in anything you do in the future.
Thank you. Great. Okay, so let's move a little bit to student organizations. I know all of you are very involved. We'll start out first, though, with a student organization called Women in Technology. Why should all these ladies that have been admitted consider joining WIT? And then you can talk about some of the other organizations that you're involved with. Who's involved with WIT? I think all of you are involved with WIT, aren't you? Okay. Coco, you go first.
Okay. Well, you should definitely join WIT because it's a great way to network with other girls, but also just connect with them because, they're also taking very similar classes to you. They're a resource to go to when you need help or anything like that. They do have lots of events where they'll bring companies in to talk to you about their jobs and their life, but also there are more fun events. We actually have one tomorrow, I think, that is like a spa night, but more fun nights just to, bond with other people and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely say going off what Coco is saying for women in technology, there's a mix between like professional development and then like academic resources and then just like de-stressing and making connections with people, not in terms of like networking, because that's again more of the professional development, but in terms of just like making friends with people who are interested in what you're interested in. So we might have a company representative come for one night and do like a LinkedIn workshop. And then another night we might do a spa night and have some fun. And another night we might do study tables so you can study with people who are, pursuing the same thing as you. So it's nice to have kind of like that well-rounded experience.
And Amanda, you were president of WIT while you were here, weren't you?
Yes, I was. So I was actually on the board for 3 years. The third year was I was president, and I love being able to schedule all the events and make plans for fun things and then plans for more serious career development that weren't always that serious because we always keep it fun. But without those opportunities, I wouldn't be here talking with all of you again today because of those connections I made. I still talk to Toni as much as I can between the craziness of life. But it just gives me the opportunity to give back to the organization and the university that did so much for me to get me where I am today. So it's just kind of that building block for the rest of your career from having those connections that you build with those other students and the networking opportunities that it gives.
Wonderful. Thank you, Amanda. Okay, what other student organizations relate to either to your department or have you joined while you're here at Purdue? Adhvitha, you want to go and talk about that one?
Yeah, so I think a major one which is correlated to women in technology is women in cybersecurity. So I really wanted to specialize just to see. I didn't actually know much about it until I came here. So to know there's a specialized one as well was really nice. It was really cool because actually in next week during spring break, a lot of the members are going to a Women in Cybersecurity conference, and it's just a really, really great way in terms of networking and learning more about cybersecurity professionals and all like women who are participating in it. So it's like very motivating and inspirational to be part of that. On top of the resources that they provided. So for a semester, I really got to learn about women in cybersecurity and what courses I should take, how I should improve my LinkedIn, what certifications I would want if I were to go into security. And then recently in January, I became the head of social media there. So it has really been nice to give back and be part of the board of Women in Cybersecurity. Those are the main organizations along with Women in Technology. And all the other parts I've been part of is mainly the Data Mine Learning Community, which is also a really, really large organization where I get to learn and be part of learn more about data science, how data privacy, and the cool part is I'm part of the corporate partners cohort where I get to take like a general seminar course which teaches me all about data science and coding, and to the second course which is more with working with the company. So you really get the professional development in the first year, and you work with like a team of 10-ish people. They'll give you a project, you speak with other professional members of the company, and you get to work and present your research project in April. So it's been really nice to have the opportunity to join multiple organizations here at Purdue.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
I can talk a little bit about organizations also that are kind of unrelated to technology. So I think it's really good to have some kind of professional development organization that you're part of, and then also something you do just for fun to keep like that work-life balance. So for me, I'm also part of the Latino Student Union. We do all sorts of like fun events together. It kind of brings more of that community feel as well to shrink down campus. I did 2 years of band when I was here too, and that was a lot of fun. And then, as I mentioned, I'm an RA, so that's kind of more on like the working and mentoring side. And then I'm part of the Purdue Amateur Radio Club too. I actually just got licensed, so that's a lot of fun too. Just today we were talking to Norway and Sweden, so I honestly think if you have an interest, I can almost guarantee you Purdue has a club because we have about over 1,000. That's not an exaggeration. We have actually over 1,000 student organizations. So we have a vinyl record club. We have a Red Cross club. So anything you might be interested in, there's definitely a student organization. And if there's not, you're welcome to make your own.
Right. What else do you do for fun?
I don't know if
Amanda?
that was directly at me, but or just a general question.
It was a general
I
question. But go ahead. You can go first, Dannalee.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think the coolest part about Purdue is probably the Big Ten school like sports feel. So a lot of people like to go to basketball games, they like to go to football games, and you kind of feel that like environment. It's so much fun. We also have what we call Chauncey, which is kind of like the downtown area, which is about like a 10-minute walk from campus, and people go out to eat, people go out to movies, etc. So I think there's definitely also a social aspect you could take advantage of too.
Thank you. How about you, Coco?
Yeah, I was about to say, I highly enjoy going with my friends and getting boba. We have great boba shops here. 10 out of 10 would recommend. But just other fun things, also sports, basketball, football, always very fun. And yeah.
Amanda, greatest memories.
Greatest memories. There's a few. I think one of my favorites, and probably one that changed the course of my career a little more, was actually when I studied abroad in Australia. So I spent a semester in Australia my sophomore year. You can see a little Australia license plate behind me. But it gave me a spark for travel and made me want to pursue career goals that led me to Europe. So one of my career goals was actually to eventually work in Europe. And so originally coming out of Purdue, my goal was get my master's degree in the Netherlands and then work in Europe. But my first job actually let me work in Finland for a year. So that was a really cool experience. And then I also did my master's degree in the Netherlands. So that one semester abroad just sparked so much more travel in me with the opportunity to go to other places. So even if you can't do a full semester abroad, like a summer or a spring break trip abroad, I just highly recommend that opportunity just to see a different part of the world, experience a different culture, because you never know what it's going to spark in you when you get those opportunities.
Oh, great. Thank you for sharing that. So you were talking about career goals. How about Adhvitha and Coco and Dannalee? Tell us a little bit about your career goals. And we'll start with Adhvitha first.
So yeah, I think one of the largest goals, just when coming to campus, was getting my internship my freshman year. So I think that unlocks me to try out and explore multiple fields. As I am double majoring, both of them are kind of correlated to each other and they're in combination, but most of my experience right now is with network engineering. I am trying to explore different roles because there are so many roles in the field of information technology, and also with the minor in organizational leadership, I'm also considering the roles of like project management. So at the moment, I don't have like a clear exact role, but after like watching the presentations in Women in Technology, certain things have come in my mind. So when I graduate, I definitely want to be in the network security side, maybe be an engineer, maybe a project manager. But after learning more about the speakers, as a dream job, it's kind of I would really like to be a chief information officer because I think it combines so many fields of like the software industry that I enjoy. And since I can't at the moment pick one, I was like, why not just try to manage all of them, learn about all of them. So that is one of my future jobs that I'm considering.
Wonderful. Coco, what
Yeah.
are your career goals?
For me, I like coming out of college, I would really love to like be working for a tech company. But like within that, I would really want to focus on like interaction design. With UX, there are like I want to say like 6 or 8 specializations that you can go into. Um, and there's a lot. But I found that I am most interested in like interaction design, which is like a lot of like user flows, a lot of like user interface stuff, so with websites, apps, all that stuff. But yeah.
Okay. And Dannalee?
Yeah, so I think the coolest part about Purdue Polytechnic is that you can get some really like specific classes, and that's really what I was looking for. I wanted like the general electronics approach, but I also wanted classes that were specialized in telecommunications and in audio because that's kind of like my side interest, and I would love to be able to merge the two together. So, for example, we have like the electrical program, but then that branches off into like energy classes, into telecommunications classes. And so for me, I've been taking all of those different courses in hopes of focusing on audio electronics design after college. That's what my next internship is as well. So really focused on creating technology in the field of telecommunications.
Thank you.
And I wanted to chime in for about career goals too. So when I was at Purdue, I really, even though I had that organizational leadership major, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it. I just knew that I liked what I was studying. And then when I had my internship with General Motors and I was working for their HR department, they let me meet people in different areas of HR. And I think that's what led me to my path of going into training and developing people, is from that experience. So when you're having internships and you're looking for things, it really helps you to find what you don't like as well, or what you might not want to do. So even if you don't think it's a good fit, it's still a good lesson, because then you can apply that when you're creating those future career goals.
Thanks, Amanda, for that. That's very insightful. Okay, let's move a little bit a different direction. If there have been any times you have struggled with concepts or projects in your classes, what has it been like getting some help from either your professors, your friends? So when you're struggling with something, because college is not like high school. It's a different beast, and sometimes you may have some struggles. What have you done to get some assistance and get some help? And let's see, Coco, you go first.
Yeah, so always utilize all your resources. We have like best and, mentoring programs. But for me, I've really relied on a lot of my friends and especially my professors. It's really easy to just go to them and ask them as many questions as you want. My professors, at least, are extremely supportive, and I'm very positive that every professor cares about your own well-being and your whole plan of study.
Thank you. Anyone else want to tackle that one, or anything else that they might have done differently?
Yeah, so something really cool about School of Engineering Technology is we have a help room. So we have an open lab. You can come in early, get started on assignments early. You have access to all the same equipment that the normal labs do. So you'll see people coming in, working in groups, handling, different projects and labs ahead of class to make sure they understand the material and can get all of their work done on time. And then you'll also see that TAs have hours actually from 5 to 9 p.m. So after you're done with your classes, if you're confused on a certain topic, you can always come in, talk to a TA one-on-one, or sign up for a different tutoring session as well. So we have different tutoring programs, we have help hours, and then you of course have your professor office hours, which I would highly, highly recommend.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dannalee, for that. Okay, it's getting close to the end of our presentation, of our discussion here today. So before we wrap up the broadcast, I'd like to give each of you a chance to offer advice to our viewers. Adhvitha, you can go first. What advice do you have for young women on their way to college to be successful at Purdue and the Polytechnic?
Yeah, I think mainly the main part is just taking advantage of all the resources that Purdue offers. I honestly just learned about couple new ones last month, so I think even as once I graduate, I will keep learning about it. So really making use of all the opportunities and resources that we have will make your time here easier, and also it'll just help you grow in your career field. And then another major part is, as a freshman, just take it as an opportunity to explore anything you want to explore. Join clubs that interest you, even if they're not major oriented. Join them, because it is a stress reliever to do things that you may just want to not like may have done back home, because there's probably are clubs for it. Those are ways you get to meet friends. Those are ways you get to de-stress and relax, take time for yourself. And overall, I would just say to make use of those opportunities, clubs, and organizations at Purdue.
Okay, thank you. How about you, Dannalee? What advice do you have for young women on their way to college to be
I
successful?
think this advice comes from multiple angles. It comes from me being a student, but also I was a teaching assistant for a class that was primarily for freshmen and sophomores. And I think my advice is, if you fail, I don't mean like in terms of any specific aspect. I mean, just in general, if you feel like, hey, I did bad on an exam, or I did bad on a lab, or, I haven't been managing my time, give yourself permission to learn from that. Don't take it as, okay, the rest of my college career is going to be really hard. I have had students who are really nervous in the beginning of the semester because, maybe for them specifically, this is a challenging topic. And then seeing them grow to the end of the semester and seeing that they're actually very, very confident in their skills, that is like the biggest payoff. Because if you kind of stay there and think, oh man, like that first month maybe was really hard. Maybe your first exam was harder than you thought. Don't stay with the mindset that it's going to stay that way. Give yourself permission to grow instead of thinking that it's always going to be hard. Be sure to take advantage of your resources so you can get to that point, and definitely bet on yourself, because if you got into Purdue, you definitely have the skills to be able to succeed. So don't think that just one setback is going to define the rest of your experience here. Make sure you give yourself the opportunity to grow.
Thank you, Dannalee. Coco, it's your turn.
Yeah.
Practice.
So I would definitely say don't be afraid to ask questions. Back in high school, I was always afraid to go to my teachers. And, now I'm not afraid to go to my professors because they really care. And it shows that you care about, your own growth and that you're learning. But also don't be afraid to fail. Like Dannalee said, like for my program, our Studio One is set up almost for you to fail so that you learn how to, come back from that and keep growing as a designer.
Thank you. Amanda, you're going to have the last word. What
All
advice
right.
do you have for either the high school students or college or current Purdue Polytechnic students?
If it's scary, it's probably something that is worth pursuing. So even if you take that leap, and even if you feel like you failed or it didn't turn out as way you hoped for, you learn so much more from those opportunities than you do by staying in your comfort zone and just staying right there. Because if you keep challenging yourself and you keep pushing through those fears, you'll learn so much more, not only about yourself, but about where you can go in the future and about other people. So always keep challenging yourself and moving forward and finding new ways to go against the grain and challenge your fears.
Thank you, Amanda. All right, everyone, thank you, thank you. It is time to say goodnight. That's all we have for tonight. It's been a great visiting with all of you and who are watching at home. I want to thank our panelists for sharing their wisdom and their experiences. Dannalee, gracias. Thank you. Adhvitha, thank you. Coco, thank you. And a special thanks to Amanda. Thanks as well to John, our technical director, for all of the behind the scenes work. And as I mentioned earlier in the very, very beginning, please feel free to send your emails to techrecruit@purdue.edu. If you have any additional questions for us about your major, you may be thinking this evening and thinking, oh, I should have asked this or I should have asked that. So it's at techrecruit@purdue.edu. Please, please send us your email. We also hope you will join us for one or more upcoming events for admitted students, including the Purdue's for Me's, which is an opportunity to visit campus with your family. There are also many online information sessions and student-to-student chats. There's also different other Purdue YouTube lives dependent on the major that you've been admitted to. So you can find information, all of these things and opportunities in our admitted student information page. You might like to see one or more of our, I mentioned the future YouTube lives. We also have recordings of all of our YouTube lives. And so with that, I think our next one is March 8th, which is tomorrow. It's diversity in the Polytechnic. And I think on April 12th, we have student life at Purdue, where we'll have different students and others, just talking about what it's like to be a Polytechnic student and a student in the at Purdue. So all of them are listed in our polytechnic.purdue.edu/live. So just a quick reminder, the deadline to accept your offer to admissions is May 1st. But if you're thinking of any of the learning communities, please apply by April 15th. Again, thank you for being here tonight. Have a great evening and boiler up. Good night.